All right, welcome to another video. I hope you're all doing well. Now, I have made a number of videos here in the channel about the state of the industry, of the games industry. And unfortunately, over the last couple of years, things have been kind of like becoming worse and worse to the point that people are now wondering if they should actually join the games industry, or perhaps how can I actually stand out from the rest, which is a valid question nowadays. And I know exactly how a lot of you feeling out there, because it kind of feels like you're missing a train that has been fast moving for so many years, and it feels like there's no more for you to go, or the industry is going to become stagnant. Fortunately, I think, and many others think, that the games industry is here to stay because people have been playing games for the longest time. Before people got money, before it was super successful, before people actually made a boatload of money, game makers and gamers have been here around playing games for a long time. So I'm a big believer that the industry is not going anywhere, and we are just facing a slump in the industry while things are getting reconfigured a little bit. Now, for all those that actually think like me and you still want to have an amazing career in games, I think there's no better opportunity than now, because I believe we're going to see a revival of the games industry in a different shape and form in the future. And I've talked about the AA games, the indie games, and so much more in previous videos. Make sure you check them out. I'll link them somewhere so you guys can go and check it out. But for everybody that is still here with us, everybody that is believing, I do think there's a massive, brilliant future over the next few years, because what we are seeing is that there's a lot of people that are basically changing industry or finding another job because they feel very frustrated, which I don't blame them 100%, no problem at all. But if you are here and you're here to stay and you really believe in this, I do think that you need a way forward, somebody that hopefully can actually help you out. And I would like to be that person for you all, because I had an amazing mentor when I was really, really deep into almost depression, because I couldn't find a way out. I couldn't find how to be an animator. There was no help. And at that point in time, there was no animation courses or anything like that you could actually basically learn from the pros in order to actually become a pro yourself. So since we're going through this industry slump and we're actually seeing this revival again, I think there's no better time for basically somebody like myself that has been in the industry for 20 plus years to help some of you out there with getting into the industry or making yourself stand out when you are part of the industry as well, which is another problem that a lot of professionals have in the industry. Now, the course that I released in August has been super successful, and I'm really, really thankful to all of you that actually joined me in this course. There's about 150 students and just counting, and it's really amazing to see all the feedback, the comments, the community forming up, really amazing. But the release of the course and the success that it had kind of gave me the nudge that I needed to basically sit down and think about how else can I help the community of all game devs, animators, people that want to get into the industry as best as I possibly can. And I think the best way I can is to basically stop and spend about a month with a group of people that want to learn from me about the ins and outs of the games industry, about what happens, how to navigate it, how to actually go to an interview and absolutely nail it, how to actually have the best show reel, what are people looking for, what are the pipelines, and so much more. Hence why the workshop, right? So I announced it in December. We're going to start 4th of February, and there's so much that we're going to cover for all those that actually want to join me. Now, here's the framework and how it's going to work overall in the month of February. We are going to have 4 weeks together. We're going to meet up twice a week on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and we are going to spend 3 hours together dissecting a bunch of different things. Now, I'm going to show you a breakdown of exactly what's going to happen in these workshops as we work together. But just know that this is a framework because I want to leave time and space for everybody to ask questions, everybody to basically suggest things and get to know more about it. So I want this to become conversational. I want this to be more of a team effort, and I want us to learn from each other in this workshop more than anything, because if there's anything that I kind of like didn't like from my time learning animation is when things are too formulaic, when things are too much that they need to fit in a box and you need to learn certain things within a time. Because what I found out through my years of teaching people is that people are different and they learn at different rates. So in my opinion, it's really important for the teacher, the person, the mentor to take a beat, to individually ask people, how are they perceiving the information? Is it really going in? And if there's anything that we can do differently for them to learn things better, right? Because of this reason, I'm keeping this small. I would like about 10 people max to join this course. And I want to make sure that we all can have time to basically do group sessions where basically can talk to each other, and you can ask questions of other people as you go through the workshop, because I don't want to actually have to go through things very quickly. Hence why I'm taking a month, and hence why each session is so long, so we can take the time that we need for everybody to understand what's going on at any one time and ask questions. Now, let's take a look at what the workshop entails and how we're going to go about every week. But once again, keep in mind that this is basically a top-down view, and we're going to basically start manipulating and changing the workshop as people need different things. And by the end of the workshop, we might end up doing something completely different than what it was here, because this is what the class needs, right? All right, so as you can see here, this is my top level personal breakdown of the course, so we all understand what's going on every single week. And we are going to start on week 1. Once again, 2 sessions per week. On week 1, we're going to look at foundations and workflows. And the first session on a Tuesday when we start, we're going to have a look at introductions and also core principles. And this is all about, understanding each other, knowing who it is in the class, and basically understanding what we want to cover, people's experiences, etc., etc. This is kind of how we're doing it. And we're going to have very much this idea of talking about the fundamentals of animation, the 12 principles, how much do you know, how basic do we have to go. And this is basically me readjusting to the class as best as I possibly can, so you guys can have as much information throughout the course, and I'll be readjusting the course as you go through it. And this is going to be much more detailed and broken down into sections, so we can basically talk and make notes about each session, so we can actually share this with the class and have something for you to keep. So in the future, you can actually go back to this and know exactly what you learned in each week as we go through it. Now, we also will look at production pipeline, which is something that a lot of animators don't think about. And I think that you need to think about those things as a developer. On Thursday, second day, we're going to talk about keyframing and basic cycles. This is the very basics of games. Once again, after readjusting a little bit, we will find out how much of this do we need to learn. Let's say that it's only professionals doing the workshop and you all know these principles. This will change once again to readjust to the class, and instead we'll talk about something else a little deeper, a little bit more specific and technical. Now, week 2, we will look at movement and transitions. Once again, this is more on the initial, the beginnings of gameplay animation, and everything we're going to look at, including the 12 principles of animation, is always going to be contextualized for gameplay animation. So anything we will see, doesn't matter if it's basically for animation in general or for games specifically, it's all going to be all about games, right? So on that second week, on a Tuesday, we are going to be looking at locomotion. And then on the second session, on a Thursday, we are looking at transitions, animations, and collaboration as well. Now, I want to add extra weight to the collaboration, because it's incredibly important for you to learn on how collaborative games are. It's really, really big. Week 3, we look at action and industry knowledge. And this is basically on a Tuesday, we're going to look at action-based animations, all the action stuff that you all been waiting for, such as attacks and jumps and interactions. And then on a Thursday of that week, we are going to be talking about working in a studio environment as a game developer. We're going to talk about pipelines and milestones. We're going to look at some of the software that you have to use when you're actually looking at these things. We're going to talk about certain roles and how they work historically and how things have been changing. And we're going to talk about some of the challenges and best practices in a studio, no matter where you go. Now, this is also important because each studio is different, and you have to learn about adaptability, how you can be the best professional for every single studio, even though each studio has their own individual personality. Week 4, we're going to talk about polish and career development. Now, this starts to become a little bit more about you. How can you actually kind of become better in your career and development? There's a lot to cover here. We're going to talk about Polish animations and advanced techniques on session 7. Session 8 is going to be about portfolio, demo reels, and industry connections. A lot to cover here. Unfortunately, there's not enough time in this video, but hopefully it gives you a little bit more information about how we're going to go about this. We're going to touch into Unreal. We're not going to go into the practicality of Unreal or the technicalities of Unreal, but we will actually see Nubian in Unreal because we have it there and he's animated. So we're going to talk a little bit about exactly how certain things translate from Maya to Unreal and some of the things that you should keep in mind as we go through the process of making you a better gameplay animator. Now, one thing that I haven't mentioned, but is really important that we're going to be dabbling in pretty much every single week as we traverse through this workshop is the state of the industry, because we need to be adaptable and we also need to talk about where we think the industry is going, some of the worries people have, and how to solve some of those worries to make sure that you are ready both professionally but also mentally and when you tackle that job, when you apply for those jobs and have those interviews, because I feel like there's nothing worse than going to an interview fully thinking that you either don't have it, even though you have all the chances in the world, or you think the industry is about to die, and then you think that what's the point of this job? This has an influence. People can feel that. People can tell that you're not really the right candidate, and normally you actually basically shooting yourself in the foot for the wrong reasons. So we're going to talk a lot about this situation in the industry and how everybody's feeling about it and how can we remedy some of the individuals' worries as we go through the course. So that, in a nutshell, is the Animation Career Accelerator Workshop. I'm super excited about it, and I'm excited to spend a lot of time with all of you in an environment that we can just chat and discuss. And I'm pretty sure, even myself, I'm going to learn a lot from all of you. And a lot of videos will come out from this workshop on YouTube about certain things that I actually got to conclusions as talking to you guys, because there's nothing better than chopping it up and talking about games, right? So if you're interested in knowing more about the workshop and you're interested in joining me in this workshop, then there's a link down below. You can go to our webpage and find out more about the workshop. I actually made a video specifically talking about some of the things that I just talked about in this video. But there is much more information for you to have as you go through it. I also made sure that you have the benefit of paying in chunks, because obviously the workshop is not super cheap. I try to make the workshop as cheap as possible based on the time that I have to give to this workshop, but obviously it's going to be expensive to a lot of you. So the idea here is that if you cannot pay it in full, basically you can pay it in 3 months and then hopefully helps you out a bit more. I do know that January is a tough month for a lot of people out there. You just came out of Christmas, just came out of the holidays. So if this is you, you can definitely pay this in 3 months and still join me in February so we can tackle this workshop together. Now, there's a lot of FAQs as well that you can basically tackle, lots of questions that I think most people will have in order to put your mind at peace. And then after all this, if you still want to join me, press the button, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the workshop. If you have any questions or opinions about the workshop, drop a comment down below. Ask me questions. I'll be keeping an eye. I'll be answering every single comment and question, and I hope to see you guys in the workshop. Until then, stay well, stay safe. Peace.